The sun was hot and high in the sky. The red soil of Oguma village cracked under the weight of dry season. Dust floated in the air like soft smoke, rising from the feet of children running barefoot along the narrow path. Birds sang quietly in the trees, but their songs did not bring peace to Amara's heart. Her feet were always bare, her clothes always faded, but her heart was full of dreams. She lived with her cruel stepmother and father, who treated her more like a burden than a daughter. She walked slowly, carrying a heavy bundle of firewood on her head. Her feet were dusty. Her dress, once yellow, was now faded and torn at the edges. Sweat rolled down her neck, but she did not wipe it. She had learned to endure. Amara was 21 years old, but her eyes looked older. They were full of thoughts, dreams, questions, pain. Why was I born here? She often asked herself. Why can't I have a better life? She had seen the world beyond her village only through the broken radio in their hut. She had heard stories of cities with tall buildings, people with cars, women who wore beautiful clothes and walked like queens. She wanted to be like that. She wanted freedom, love, respect, but she was stuck. Her father, Paul Okonkwo, was a poor farmer with debts as heavy as the sky before rain. He had once been kind. But after her mother died, everything changed. He remarried a woman named Mama Igo, and from that day, Amara became a servant in her own home. Every morning, she woke before the sun, fetching water from the stream, sweeping the compound, and preparing food she rarely ate herself. Her father never said a word. Her stepmother only shouted, "You're useless. You eat and sleep for free. You think this world owes you love," her stepmother would yell. Her stepmother treated her like trash. Amara never talked back. She only smiled quietly and did her chores. As she walked past a small stream, Amara paused. She dropped her firewood and bent down. The water was dirty, but she stared at her reflection. "Will anyone ever love me?" she whispered. Behind her, she heard laughter. "Village boys. She's still dreaming," one of them said. "Always staring at water like it's a mirror." Amara stood up and carried her load again. She didn't answer them. She didn't have the strength. That evening, the sun set quickly. The wind blew harshly, and the sky turned orange like fire. Amara came back home to the smell of palm oil and dried fish. Her stepmother sat outside the hut, pounding yam with angry hands. "Where have you been?" Mama Igo shouted. "I went to fetch firewood," Amara said softly. Her father sat on a wooden stool nearby. He didn't look at her. Instead, he cleared his throat. One afternoon, as she returned from the farm, her father called her into the hut. His breath smelled of palm wine. "Amara," he said. She turned. "Yes, Papa. You're getting married in 3 days." The word stopped. Amara's heart dropped into her stomach. "Married?" she asked, confused. "Yes," he said coldly. "To Chuka. He is a good man. And it will help settle what I owe his uncle." Tears gathered in Amara's eyes. "But, Papa, I don't even know him. Please. I don't want to marry now." Mama Igo laughed. You think you have a choice? You are lucky someone is even willing to marry a girl like you. But he's poor." Amara cried. "Even poorer than us." Her father stood up and slapped her hard. "Enough," he shouted. "You will marry Chuka, or you will leave my house. Do you hear me?" Amara ran to her room. Her chest was heavy with pain. She cried all night. She didn't sleep. She had dreamed of falling in love. Of meeting someone who saw her, truly saw her. Now, her future had been sold like cheap bread at the market. The wedding day came like a nightmare. There was no music, no dancing, no joy. A few villagers gathered, whispering behind their hands. She doesn't even look happy. Isn't that Chuka? That quiet one who lives by the stream. Why is she marrying him? Amara wore a plain white gown that had been worn by 3 other village brides before her. It was too big, and she had to hold it up as she walked. Chuka stood beside her. He wore a brown shirt and black trousers. He was calm. Quiet. His eyes were deep and unreadable. The village priest read the words. They exchanged rings. A fake smile on her lips. A soft thank you from Chuka. And just like that, Amara was no longer a girl. She was a wife. They walked together to Chuka's hut. It was small, made of mud and zinc, with 2 wooden chairs and a mat for a bed. Amara looked around and thought, is this my life now? Chuka sat on the edge of the bed. He didn't say much. He looked at her and said gently, you don't have to do anything. I know this wasn't your choice. He gave her a pillow and blanket, and lay down quietly on the floor. That night, Amara cried again. Not from fear, but from deep sadness. Days passed. Amara woke early each morning. She swept the compound, fetched water, and cooked without being asked. It was the only life she knew. But now, it was different, because this time, she was in a stranger's house. A man's house. A man she was married to. Chuka barely spoke. He was polite, calm, but very quiet. He always said thank you when she served his food. He washed his own clothes. He even helped her fetch water from the stream once. He never shouted. Never touched her. Never forced her. At night, he slept on the floor, giving her the mat and pillow. She begged him to take the mat at least once. I'm fine here, he said simply. You're my wife, but I will never hurt you. Take your time. That made Amara even more confused. She expected anger. She expected a man who would treat her like property. Instead, she got kindness in silence. But something didn't sit right. One day, she swept the room and found something strange, a leather bag under the bed. She wasn't trying to snoop, but it fell out as she was cleaning. She picked it up carefully and opened it just a little. Inside was a shirt. A very expensive one. It looked new. Branded. Something no poor villager could ever afford. She folded it back neatly and pushed it under the bed again. Her heart beat fast. Who is this man? The next day, it rained heavily. The zinc roof began to leak. Chuka rushed to place bows under the holes. Amara stood in a corner, holding her wrapper tightly, shivering from the cold. Chuka looked at her and paused. He walked over, removed his only blanket, and wrapped it around her. Here, he said, take this. I'm used to the cold. Their hands touched for a moment. She looked into his eyes. Something inside her stirred. Was this the same man she was forced to marry? She slept at night with his scent in the blanket. And for the first time in many nights, she slept deeply. The sun was out again. Amara continued her daily chores, trying to act normal. But her curiosity grew. There were moments when Chuka would leave the house very early and return just before sunset. He never said where he went. She watched him carefully. He moved like someone educated, someone who didn't belong in a poor village. That evening, Chuka went to the stream. She decided to clean the back room where he usually locked the door. But that day, the door was open. She pushed it gently and stepped inside. Her eyes widened. The room was nothing like the rest of the house. There were clean shelves. A laptop sat on the table. A small generator in the corner. Suits, real suits, hung neatly by the wall. Expensive perfumes. International passports. Bank documents. What is this? Amara whispered, feeling like she had stepped into another world. Suddenly, the door behind her creaked. She turned quickly. Chuka was standing there. His face was calm, but his eyes looked tired. "I didn't mean to enter," she said quickly. "I was just cleaning, and—" "It's okay," he said softly. "You were going to find out someday." She stood frozen. "Find out what?" He walked in, shut the door quietly behind him, and sat on a chair. His voice was low. "I'm not who you think I am." Chuka looked at her with a long, heavy sigh. "My real name is Chuka Obiora Madu. I'm the son of Chief Madu, the owner of Obiora Holdings." Amara gasped. She had heard that name on the radio before. Obiora Holdings was a powerful business empire in the city. "I left home 5 years ago," Chuka continued. "I was tired of fake people. Women who smiled only when they saw my money. Friends who betrayed me. I wanted peace. I wanted something real." "And this village?" Amara asked, shocked. "It's quiet. Peaceful. And when I saw you, I knew I had found something rare." Amara took a step back, heart racing. "You knew me before this marriage?" He nodded. "I paid your father's debt, yes. But not to force you. I just wanted to be close. I didn't plan for the marriage to happen this way." Tears welled up in her eyes. "You lied to me," she said. "You let me think you were poor, worthless." "I didn't lie," Chuka said softly. "I just wanted to be sure that someone could love me without the money, without the name, without the noise." There was silence. Amara turned to leave the room. Her heart was heavy. Confused. Angry. But also, strangely, full of something warm. That night, he didn't sleep on the floor. He slept sitting beside the door, as if guarding her. She lay on the mat, staring at the ceiling, asking herself a question she never thought she'd ask. Am I falling in love with this man? Morning came with soft wind and birdsong. Amara stood outside their small hut, lost in thought. The sky was pale blue, and the village was just waking up. She still couldn't believe what she had discovered. Her husband, quiet, humble Chuka, was a billionaire in disguise. Everything she thought she knew was now different. She felt angry, but not in the way she expected. She wasn't angry because he was rich. She was angry because he had hidden himself from her. But deep in her heart, she also felt something warm. Something soft. Chuka came outside with a small plastic tray. On it, he had placed a cup of tea and a boiled egg. For you, he said. Amara blinked in surprise. You made breakfast? He nodded. I don't know how to cook much, but I'm learning. She sat down on the wooden bench and took the tray. He sat beside her. For the first time, they looked at each other without shame. Without fear. Just quiet understanding. After a long silence, Amara whispered, Why me, Chuka? He smiled gently. Because when I saw you, carrying firewood with dust on your feet, you still held your head high. You were tired, but your eyes were full of fire. I saw strength in you. And beauty. Not just the outside, but inside. Her heart beat faster. No one had ever said such things to her. Later that day, they went to the stream together. She washed clothes while he helped rinse them and spread them on stones to dry. The village women stared, whispering. Chuka they wash clothes with his wife. Which kind of man be that? But Amara didn't care anymore. For the first time in her life, someone treated her like she mattered. Like she was a queen. That night, she asked him, Why did you never touch me all this while? He looked into her eyes. Because I respect you. I wanted you to trust me first. I didn't want to take. I wanted to give. Amara reached out and held his hand. I trust you now, she said softly. They sat close in the dark, the sound of crickets in the air, their fingers locked together. No rush. No pressure. Just quiet love. Days turned into weeks. Their bond grew stronger. They cooked together. Laughed together. Sat under the moonlight sharing stories about their childhood. One night, after dinner, Chuka lit a small candle and placed it in the middle of the room. The light danced on the walls. Amara wore a plain blue wrapper, her hair loose and falling down her back. She looked soft. Peaceful. Can I show you something? Chuka asked. She nodded. He walked to the corner, opened a small box, and brought out a necklace. It was gold, simple, but beautiful. This belonged to my mother, he said. She gave it to me before she died. Told me to give it to the woman who truly captured my heart. He walked over and gently placed it around Amara's neck. Her hands touched his. Her eyes were wet. You don't have to say anything, he said. I just want you to know. I love you. Amara looked at him. She had heard the word love before. But never like this. She moved close. Their lips met, soft and gentle. It was not hunger, it was trust. It was years of pain being washed away in one quiet kiss. That night, they didn't sleep apart. They held each other close, whispering dreams under the candlelight. For the first time, they felt whole. The next morning, a car drove into the village, a black SUV that made people rush out of their homes in surprise. 3 men in suits stepped out. One of them was tall, with dark shades and a sharp voice. Where is Mr. Chuka Obioromadu? He asked loudly. Villagers stared in shock. Chuka, someone asked. You mean our Chuka? The men walked straight to Chuka's hut. Amara ran out quickly, afraid. Who are these people? She whispered. Chuka came out, calm and confident. The man in shades removed them and smiled. Sir, we've been looking for you for weeks. Your father is very ill. He's asking for you. The board needs you back. Chuka sighed. I told you to give me time, he said. Yes, sir. But the company is struggling. The family needs your leadership. Amara's mouth was open. The villagers were speechless. Chuka turned to her. I need to go to the city, he said. But I want you with me. Me, she asked, scared. He smiled. You are my wife. You are going with me, not as a stranger, not as a servant, but as my queen. Amara looked at the house. At the village. At the people watching. Could she really live this life? She took his hand. Let's go, she said. The city was nothing like the village. Tall buildings, noisy traffic, blinking lights, and people who walked like they were always in a hurry. Amara held Chuka's hand tightly as the car moved through the busy streets. Her eyes were wide with wonder, fear, and excitement. They stopped in front of a tall white mansion with glass doors and flower-lined paths. Guards opened the gate. Workers came out to greet them. Welcome, sir. Madam, welcome. Amara couldn't speak. The house was bigger than her whole village. Marble floors. Big chandeliers. A staircase that curved like a dream. This is your home now, Chuka said gently. She turned to him, afraid. I don't belong here. These people, this place. You belong with me, he said. That's all that matters. He led her upstairs to a private room. Inside was a giant bed, a walk-in closet, and a bathroom that sparkled like a hotel. Her old wrapper looked out of place here. But before she could feel ashamed, Chuka opened a wardrobe filled with new clothes. Dresses. Gowns. Shoes. Even underwear with price tags still on them. I had this made for you months ago, he said softly. I was just waiting for the right time. Tears filled Amara's eyes. "Why are you so good to me?" she asked. Chuka took her hands and looked into her eyes. "Because you didn't choose me for money. You chose me when I had nothing. You saw me." That night, Amara bathed in a tub for the first time. She wore a red silk nightdress. When she stepped into their bedroom, Chuka was sitting on the bed, waiting. "You look beautiful," he whispered. "And I feel like a queen," she said with a shy smile. He stood and took her in his arms. Slowly, gently, they held each other like it was the first time again. The love between them wasn't rushed. It was deep, patient, and full of emotion. They slept wrapped in each other's arms, in a bed big enough for kings. But even in all the riches, it was the love that made Amara feel truly rich. Not everyone was happy that Chuka brought a village girl into the city. The next morning, during breakfast, the storm arrived. "Who is this girl?" a cold voice asked. Amara turned to see an older woman walk in, elegant and proud. Behind her was a younger lady dressed in designer clothes, with long lashes and rolling eyes. "Mother," Chuka stood. "Meet my wife, Amara." His mother stared at Amara from head to toe. "This is your wife?" "A poor villager." "Not anymore," Chuka said firmly. "She's my choice." The younger lady stepped forward. "What about me, Chuka? We were supposed to get married. My father owns the company that. I don't care about deals, Edeora. I care about truth." Edeora glared at Amara, then stormed out. His mother turned coldly to her son. "This girl will never be accepted here. She doesn't fit in." "I didn't ask for your permission," Chuka replied. Amara stood, shaken but brave. "Ma, I didn't plan to come here. I didn't beg for this life. But I love your son. And I will try to make you proud, whether you like me or not." The older woman raised an eyebrow, surprised by her boldness. Then she walked away without a word. Chuka held Amara close. "That was perfect," he whispered. "You stood your ground. I'm proud of you." But Amara's heart was heavy. She could fight for Chuka, but would his family fight against her? A week passed in the mansion, but tension grew like smoke. Chuka remained sweet, loving, and proud of Amara. But the rest of the household? Cold. Distant. Eyes followed her, whispers surrounded her, and silence met her every smile. Then one evening, while Chuka was out on a business trip, Amara sat alone on the balcony when the gate opened. Her heart dropped. Her father, dirty, drunk, and angry, stumbled in, shouting her name. "Amara! Come out here, useless girl. You left your family and now you wear golden shoes." Guards rushed to stop him, but his shouting echoed inside the house. "I sold you off, yes. You think you're better than me now? You owe me your life, witch." Amara ran outside, barefoot, ashamed. "Papa, please. Lower your voice. You better give me money now, or I will tell the whole city who you are. I will tell them how you begged to be married. I'll say anything I want." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Why are you doing this to me?" Before he could answer, Chuka arrived, his face full of anger. "Get out," he shouted at the man. "This is the last time you ever come near her again." He ordered the guards to throw him out, and they did. But the damage was done. The next morning, the tabloids carried the headline. "Village girl tricked billionaire into marriage. Wife's father demands money or will reveal dirty secrets." Amara broke down in tears. People stared at her like she was dead. Her photos were online. Her shame, her pain, everywhere. That evening, Chuka found her in the garden, crying alone. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I brought shame into your life. Maybe I should leave. Maybe I was never meant for this life." Chuka sat beside her and held her hand. "I don't care what anyone says," he said gently. "Let them talk. I didn't marry you for the world. I married you for me." She looked at him, her eyes filled with love and pain. "I love you, Chuka. But maybe love isn't enough here." He didn't let go of her hand. "Then let's make it enough. Let's fight together." But even as they held each other close that night, Amara knew something had changed. Not in their hearts, but in the world around them. 2 days later, Chuka woke up alone. Amara was gone. On the bed was a letter. "My love, I know you chose me. But I also know your world will never accept me. I don't want to be the reason your family suffers or your company loses face. So I'm stepping away, not because I don't love you, but because I love you too much. One day, if the world softens, maybe we'll find each other again. Yours forever, Amara." Chuka crushed the letter in his hand and shouted in pain. He searched everywhere, she was nowhere to be found. Her phone was off. Her things were gone. His mother, standing by the stairs, said quietly, "She was never meant for this life." Chuka turned to her, his eyes red. "You're wrong. She was the best thing that ever happened to me." He walked out of the mansion, heartbroken, but determined. He would not give up. Months passed. The news died down. The scandal faded. But Chuka never forgot. He searched every day, online, through private investigators, through the village, but Amara had vanished like wind. He worked during the day, but at night, he sat alone, staring at the necklace she left behind on the bed. He wore no smiles. No happiness. Just pain. Then one day, while driving through the outskirts of the city for a charity outreach program, his car got stuck near a small food market. He stepped out, dressed in a simple shirt and jeans, surrounded by people who didn't recognize him. And that's when he saw her. Amara. She was wearing an apron, serving food in a roadside eatery. Her hands moved fast, helping customers, clearing plates, washing bowls. She looked tired, thinner, but still beautiful. Chuka froze. Amara turned, and her heart dropped. Their eyes met. Time stopped. Her hand shook. A metal plate slipped and crashed to the floor. People looked at her, confused. She walked away quickly, back into the kitchen, trying to hide. But he followed. "Amara," he called. "Please, don't run." She stopped. Slowly turned. "What are you doing here?" she asked quietly. He took slow steps forward. "I've been searching for you. Every day. I didn't want to be found." "Then why are you crying?" he asked. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I missed you," she whispered. "But I thought leaving was the right thing. I didn't belong in that world." Chuka stepped closer. "Then let's make our word." "I'm nothing, Chuka. I work in a food joint. I sleep on the floor. I wear hand-me-downs." He gently cupped her face. "You're everything to me. You're the one who made me smile. You gave me peace. I don't care where you live or what you wear. I just want you." Her lips trembled. "But what about your mother? She's no longer in charge of my happiness. I am." And then, in that hot kitchen full of steam and noise, surrounded by old pots and spoons, they kissed. It was messy. It was emotional. It was real. And that's when they both knew, this time, there would be no more running. 2 weeks later, the world watched as Chuka Madu, Billionaire CEO, married Amara Madu, again. But this time, it wasn't a forced village wedding. This time, it was at a beachside resort, with white flowers, violin music, and hundreds of guests. Amara wore a simple white gown with lace sleeves. Her hair was in a crown of curls. Her smile was everything. Chuka stood waiting in a white suit, his eyes full of tears. When she walked down the aisle, the world faded away. Only they remained. The vows were sweet, honest, full of memories. I loved you when we had nothing, Amara said. And I love you now that we have everything. I would choose you 1,000 times, Chuka said. Rich or poor, loud or quiet, always you. When they kissed, the crowd clapped. Even Chuka's mother had tears in her eyes. Because love had won. They didn't move back into the mansion. Instead, they built a new home on the outskirts of the city, a quiet place with fruit trees, a large garden, and space for peace. Amara started a foundation to help village girls go to school. Chuka supported her in every way. They woke up together every morning, laughing over coffee. They held hands in public. They talked about baby names. The pain of the past never fully vanished, but it became part of their story. A reminder of how far they had come. And as they sat one night under the stars, their hands resting on her small baby bump, Amara whispered, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." Chuka smiled. "Thank you for loving me before the world knew who I was." And with that, their story wasn't just a love story. It was a testimony. Please like, comment, share and subscribe for more interesting stories. Bye, see you in next story.